The reason for today is to be able to allow interested parties to ask me questions about either Think Together, some of our opportunities, and I really like to offer myself up for questions in general about the career search, resumes. I know not a lot of students have the ability to get that one-on-one time with a recruiter. So I love helping out students where I can. So if there's a question, maybe you're not interested in Think Together, I hope you are, but if you have a question that is maybe more pertaining to a general career search question, I'd be more than happy to answer that as well.
And Stephanie, I'm sorry to interrupt. And just to let the students know, the session will be recorded. So if you prefer just to keep your camera off, you can. We're going to go ahead and record it for students who may be interested to learn more about Think Together later. Stephanie, is that okay with you as well?
Yeah, definitely, not a problem.
Thank you.
Awesome. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and share this brief clip. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Go. All right.
As a child, I never realized just how many caring adults I had in my corner, rooting me on, taking the time to make sure I knew that my voice mattered and that I had every opportunity to succeed in school. When you grow up surrounded by love like that, it's hard to see how the odds may be stacked against you. The drive to school in the morning was precious to me. I got to sit in the front seat right next to my mom, and she'd even let me pick the radio station sometimes. It wasn't a long drive to school, but it was our time to be together. My mom worked so hard to make sure me and my brothers had what we needed. When I would get to school, Principal Clay was there to say good morning. It was always at least a wave, but on good days, it was a hug or a high five as I walked into school. Her smile was the first thing to welcome me. Like most kids, seeing my friends was the best part of the day. Those few minutes we had to laugh and play before the first bell would ring, or how we would meet at our spot to play jump rope at recess or hula hoop during lunch. And then there was Mrs. Gutierrez. Growing up, I hated math. It just never came naturally to me. But there she was, taking the time to work with me. She made me hate math a lot less. And even though I was one of many in her class, she always made time for me. When the last bell would ring, I didn't go home. Mom worked into the evenings, and so I went to Think Together with some of my friends. Together! Miss Lilybeth was my favorite. We had to do our homework, but she made it fun. And somehow, she would know exactly what I needed the most help with. It's as if she and Mrs. Gutierrez talked about me or something. She would tell me she was proud of me, and she would talk to me about how important of a person I would be when I grew up. Miss Lilybeth never gave up on me. Not all the kids from my neighborhood had this type of support. And now I see the difference it made in my life. My potential is limitless. My dreams can become realities. My demographic does not determine my destiny. They were all in this with me, together.
All right, so that brief video clip just kind of gives an overview of our whole reason for it being in existence. Think Together was started just over 20 years ago. It was started by a group of mothers living in Costa Mesa whose children didn't have any after-school care. And unfortunately, the area that everyone was living in was crime infested. There was a lot of gangs. And so the mothers came together and rented out an apartment where kids could go after school. They would be supervised. There would be homework help. And we actually still have that apartment today. We have the entire apartment building. It's known as our, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm blanking on it. I'm sorry, it's known as our Shalimar Learning Center in Costa Mesa. And it's just the platform from which Think Together has springboarded into providing services for school districts throughout the state of California. We like to say we're from the Beta LA, but we actually have migrated into northern San Diego County, and unfortunately that doesn't rhyme. So before I continue, I just want to pause and give an opportunity for everyone if they have any questions at all. So feel free to either shout it out or light it up in the chat, either about anything you just saw or about Think Together in general. So does anyone have any questions? Pretty good. Okay, not bad, not a problem. So right now, things are a little different considering the current situation with COVID-19, but Think Together is going to be hiring for the upcoming school year, whatever that looks like. Right now, things are a little dynamic. They're constantly changing. So what might happen is that we provide services in a physical and virtual kind of hybrid model. Again, things are still up in the air, and that's what we're working on right now. So the bread and butter position of Think Together is our program leaders. These are the individuals that work directly with the students. They supervise a group up to 20 students, and they're kind of like an after-school teacher. So they would be assisting with homework help. They would be assisting with delivering the lesson plans, making sure the kids are safe, making sure everyone's having fun. And what I love about Think Together the most is it's an opportunity to join an organization that is growing, and thus you can grow your career. There have been several instances of individuals starting out as program leaders and just over time promoting into what's like an after-school principal, so like a site coordinator. And then after the site coordinator, they would become kind of like the district superintendent, so they would be a quality assurance coach. And we've even had some quality assurance coaches promote into directorial positions. So director of program and operations, who would be liaising with district personnel, making sure that program is up to par and is high quality. And then what's really neat is that because the organization is growing and we always believe in promoting from within, there are other opportunities within the organization that are non-program aligned, but are still very heavily involved with the org. So for example, I know someone that was a previous site coordinator, but wanted to get into human resources. And so he applied for a staffing coordinator position, which is kind of like a recruiting coordinator, recruiting assistant. And so now he's begun his career in HR. Likewise, I know in our marketing department, they recently had an opportunity for a marketing professional. So they hired from within, from the field, and now that person has a career in marketing and a new trajectory. So I've been with Think Together for just over 1 year. I actually started out as a contractor. So I wasn't hired as a full-time employee, or excuse me, full employee. But I was hired full-time, and I was brought on board to assist with bringing in a new school district. And once we finished bringing that school district in, they offered me a full position. So I am now a full employee. It just goes to show what a great organization Think Together is. So with that, does anyone have any questions on what I just talked about or anything of that sort? Okay, cool. Well, it looks like it's a bit of a quiet bunch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and show the website in case anyone would like to view either more information about Think Together in general, or if I've maybe piqued your interest, you would be interested in applying for a position. So let me go ahead and share my screen once more. All right. So this is what our careers page looks like. And the way that it's set up is we are divided into different regions. So like I said, we go all the way up to the Bay Area. We also have positions in our high desert region, which is Victorville. Our newest acquisition, Los Angeles Metro, they are one of our bigger regions, and they have a variety of opportunities as well. And then as you see, while we scroll down, we have opportunities in Orange County, Palm Springs, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Gabriel, Santa Fe Springs, and then the most relevant to Cal State Dominguez Hills and the nearest would be the Southeast Los Angeles region, of which I am their recruiter. So the Southeast Los Angeles region is comprised of Compton, Linwood, and Bellflower school districts. And these are full of communities that really care about their students. They're really involved, and they're great districts to work for. All right, so then to go over to our senior leadership so you can learn a little bit more about our bigwigs that actually run the company. This is our CEO, Randy Barth. So 20 years ago, like I mentioned earlier, when the mothers started that after-school program, Randy learned about Think Together, or excuse me, Randy learned about the group of mothers before Think Together was officially an organization. And Randy was previously a Wall Street trader, but when he realized the disparity in educational opportunities between neighboring zip codes, he was really called to do something about it. And that's really where Think Together started from. And so as you can see here, we have all of our bigwigs, and then we also have our general managers down here. This is my general manager, David Anderson, and you can find more about them under their bio. So it's always important to know who's controlling your organization. I'm fortunate to work in a company that is relatively small, so I know who the CEO is. We've had wine together, so it's really good to kind of get that personal relationship with someone you normally wouldn't. Let's see. So we do have some questions in the chat. Awesome. The first question is, are the jobs seasonal or year-round? So for the most part, the jobs are dependent on the school year. They do follow a typical beginning in August, September, and then ending in May, June, depending on the district. We do have some year-round opportunities, and in addition to that, we also have summer in some of our districts. Again, sometimes it's very district dependent. So for example, this year we're having summer in Linwood, and again, it's gonna look a little different just due to the COVID situation. But for the most part, a lot of our employees that are current program leaders will be working summer, and we actually ask them if they would. Believe it or not, some individuals want the summer off. So those individuals would just state, no, I'm not interested. I'm just going to return in the fall. Let's see. All right, some good questions here. Next is, what are the qualifications to be a program leader? All right, so, and then this also kind of falls into the next question, what kind of degree and certifications are required? So for the program leader, at minimum, you need a high school diploma. You need to be available Monday through Friday, 1 to 6, if you want to be a full program leader. I know that some individuals, especially college students, like a lot of yourselves, probably don't have that flexibility. And so we do have another position that's called substitute program leader. And this is kind of like a substitute teacher. So they would specify the days that they are available from 1 to 6. So for example, maybe you have class Tuesday and Thursday all day, but you're free Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you would specify those days, and when there is a person that calls out at a school, we would call you, ask if you're available, and then you would come and sub for that position. Let's see. Are program leaders only for after school, or is it an all-day position? So program leaders are just for after school. We do have another position called PE program leader. And that position is, like it sounds, concerned with only physical education, and those positions do have morning shifts. So if you don't have availability in the afternoon at all, there is an opportunity to work in the morning, but you would be working in a modified program, not the full after-school program. All right, so did that answer everyone's questions so far? You can go ahead and give a reaction thumbs up if it worked for you. Awesome, cool, perfect. Excellent, okay, great. And then also just to kind of add my my personal addendum to it, I've worked in a number of organizations. I've worked in a number of educational organizations, such as school districts. I've also worked for a small special education staffing company. And Think Together is really a company that I feel very fortunate to work for, because even though I work at the office as a recruiter in that function, I know that my efforts are still directly impacting the students. And it feels great knowing that I'm making a difference in the future of our communities, because these kids are going to be our future business professionals, doctors, grocery store checkers, you know, I mean, they're gonna go throughout every pore of society. And so if I can help them in some way, it feels really good to know that I made a difference. All right. Any other questions that are coming up so far? Okay, great. So everyone's pretty quiet. I know it's still kind of early. Well, Brenda, that is all that I had prepared for this chat. I really wanted to open it up to see if anyone, you know, kind of make it a little bit more organic and have that conversation flowing. But it seems like no one has any questions right now.
It doesn't look like, oh, Loretta asked, can you post the website on the chat, Stephanie?
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely. Let me go ahead and get the direct link.
And then Grace said if you can talk a little bit about the application process and what it looks like.
Ah, great question. Okay. So this is our direct link to the careers page. I've just posted it in the chat. And then as far as the application process is concerned, so we try to make it as streamlined as possible. I must admit it is a little involved. So because we want to ensure that individuals who are working with these kids are able to help with homework and do have that professionalism that they can bring to the team. So at first, like I mentioned, you do need to have a high school diploma. The good news though is that if you have either an AA equivalent, which I can't remember the exact number of units that an AA is equivalent to. I believe it's 48, but don't quote me on that. You have an AA degree or higher, or the equivalent of the number of units to an AA degree, you do not have to take our pre-employment test. Our pre-employment test is essentially an instructional aid test that measures proficiency of spelling, reading, English, and math at about an 8th grade level. If you don't have an AA degree or that many units, then no worries, you can go through the test. It's not as intimidating as it might sound, like, oh my gosh, I gotta take a test to go and work with kids. I took it just for fun, and I think I got maybe like a B, and I haven't touched 8th grade math or English or anything in several years. So once you pass the test, then you would be given an interview just to learn more about you, find out why you're interested in working with Think Together, what kind of caught your eye. And then during that interview, you're also going to deliver a lesson plan that we provide for you. And that's just to see how you are able to prepare kind of on the fly. Think Together program leaders, they would check in before the after school program starts. And during that check-in, they would receive the lesson plan for the day, go over it for themselves and prepare, and then the students would come in. So assuming the interview goes well and that you have presented a great lesson plan, we would then give you a provisional offer. The provisional offer is dependent on clearing a background check that we do. So you don't have to go and get live scanned anywhere. We do the fingerprints ourselves. And then you would also need a negative TB test that has been taken within the past 3 years. I don't know if Cal State Dominguez Hills does TB testing. I know other schools do. So a lot of times that is a bit of a hindrance for some individuals. But we also work with a company called Concentra where we can send you to get that TB test as well.
Yeah, and the DH does offer a TB test. When I was a grad student, I had to do it, try to renew mine. I think it's fairly cheap. It's like, I think like under $20 to do the test. So you can do it on campus. But under the current situation we're in, as we know, campus is closed for the fall.
Right.
I want to ask your medical provider or probably use the organization that Stephanie's mentioning.
Awesome. Thanks for that input, Brenda. Yeah, so we do work with Concentra. So if it is a hindrance to get a TB test, then we can work with you, no problem. And then once all of that is done, then we would bring you in for our 3-day paid training. So our training starts with a general new hire orientation where you would be signing paperwork, given an orientation to the organization. And then we put you through what's called program leader induction, where we teach you the basic rules of how to be an efficient and effective program leader within Think Together, our policies and procedures, how we handle discipline, all of that good stuff. And then the remaining 2 days are actually a shadow day where you are taken to a site to see where a program is run. So you can see all of those policies put into real life scenarios. And then after those 3 days, then we would go ahead and release you to site, and you are officially a program leader. All right. Let's see. So Loretta says, can you apply directly for a marketing position, or do you have to start at an entry level and move up? So that is pretty dependent on the position. Sometimes marketing will ask for individuals that have maybe a bachelor's in a marketing degree or something related. It really depends. So I can't give you a concrete answer on that. Let's see. Someone is a violin teacher. Very cool. Can I teach kids after school on violin? So we do have some program time depending on the grade level, where individuals that have interests maybe like dance or sports, or in your case violin, they can work with clubs. And so if you have kids that are interested in that kind of subject, then you definitely can. We really enjoy it when people bring their own passions, because it makes it more fun for the kids. If you're trying to teach something that you really could not care less about, kids are going to catch on to that. Is the position at school or online? So I mentioned this earlier. Right now, it looks like we're probably going to be doing a virtual/physical hybrid program come the fall. Unfortunately, because regulations and situations are changing pretty dynamic. Things still evolve on a day-to-day, sometimes even an hour-to-hour basis. So it really depends. But from what I hear, it looks like it's going to be a mix of online and virtual. And let's see. Someone asked, do you need previous experience working with kids? This is a great question. So I always say, if you have experience working with kids, that's great. If you were a previous preschool aide, that's great. Any experience definitely makes you a more attractive candidate. It brings a certain level of expertise. However, we always look for individuals that really have that passion to want to make a difference in children's lives. We can teach you how to be the most effective program leader, but if you don't have that core passion, then you're not going to be up to par with where we can push you. So I know that's not so do you absolutely need previous experience working with kids? No. However, does it help? Absolutely. And one thing I want to remind individuals is that experience working with kids doesn't need to be limited to paid experience. If you have volunteer experience, maybe you volunteered at a summer camp, or you volunteered looking after kids for Sunday school, that absolutely counts. A lot of individuals, they think volunteer experience never counts, but it absolutely does. And then also, speaking of volunteers, I do want to mention one thing. We have volunteer opportunities. So if maybe you're listening to me ramble on and you're thinking, this seems like a great organization, but I don't know if I want to commit to a paid employment opportunity, you can definitely volunteer. You can volunteer for one day. You can volunteer ongoing. And volunteers, back in the typical times, they would kind of help out with the classroom. So they would help maybe translate some homework for kids. They would maybe distribute snack, kind of be like an additional set of eyes to make sure kids are behaving. And so we're kind of evolving that volunteer opportunity to match with the current situation right now. And let's see, are you working in a group of program leaders, or is it one program leader with a group of kids? So the way that it's structured is one program leader would be in charge of a group of kids, approximately 20 kids, but they would also be working in conjunction with their fellow program leaders. So another thing that I really appreciate about Think Together, and this translates from the field all the way up through our home office, is the teamwork mentality. Last semester, at the beginning of the school year, we actually went through a bit of a crisis where everyone in the organization needed to just jump all hands on deck. And everyone from senior directors to general managers in other regions, they were totally game to help out. At no point was someone like, oh, that's not my problem. No, everyone was everyone had that mentality like, no, this is part of the org, this is a part of my team, like I need to help out where I can. And it's like that in the field too. So you're also given a walkie-talkie, so you are always in constant contact with your site coordinator, who is your supervisor and kind of like the principal of that after-school program. So if there is a situation where maybe you need to take a kid to the restroom and you need someone to watch the other kids, then you're always in contact with your teammates. All right, and then volunteer. How would you apply for a volunteer position? So let me go ahead and share my screen again. It's very similar to applying for a full-time, or excuse me, paid employment opportunity, but instead what you would do is, instead of hitting careers, you would select volunteer. And then over here, you would select the region that you're interested in. So we're saying Southeast LA. And then you would go ahead and apply, and our manager of volunteers would reach out and get to know more about you, see why you're interested in volunteering, and then carry it out from there. All right. Awesome. Great questions, everybody. All right. Is there anything else that someone had any question on? Oh, you're very welcome. I'm happy to help out. Awesome.
Well, Stephanie, I do want to be respectful of your time and thank you again for such a great and informative presentation. I learned a lot, and I know our students did too as well. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to our students. For the students that are here, we have recorded this section and this session, and it will be posted later on this week. And we have a YouTube channel. So if you look us up at CSUDH Career Center, all of our recent events have been recorded and posted on there for you all to review if you'd like. And again, we have more sessions later during this week. And Stephanie, thank you again for including your email so students can contact you directly.
Not a problem. I just wanted to put that out there. Maybe you didn't want to ask a question during the chat because you didn't feel comfortable. Please feel free to email me afterwards. Again, not a lot of students have access directly to a recruiter that can give them honest feedback. So if you have a resume you want me to look at, I try to be as helpful as I can. Granted, I'm only one person, but I do try to put myself out as much as I can to help out where I can. So just want to put that resource out there for everyone.
Yeah, and utilize your resources, everyone, especially in light of the situation that we're in right now. The Career Center and employers like Stephanie are here to help and assist you because that's what we want to do, is to see you succeed. So feel free to reach out. We continue to have our sessions. Feel free to email Elof or myself, or contact us even via Handshake or even our Instagram just to follow up on in any of the posts. We constantly are posting all of our events and sessions that we have. We have some programming coming through the summer. We're going to host a general summer job fair in a couple of weeks too, just for other folks to learn more. So, we're going to contact more employers to connect with, just like Stephanie, with you all and to kind of teach you and support you through this time. All right. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. And stay safe and make sure you wash your hands.
Thank you so much for being great audience, guys. I really appreciate it. And thanks again for Cal State Dominguez Hills for giving me this opportunity to speak with everyone. Stay safe.
Yeah. Thanks again, Stephanie. Everybody, a round of applause for Stephanie.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Take care. Have a good morning.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.